friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you part 2 of my Q&A video. I'm going to be answering your questions while I refill my Copic markers. And this was originally filmed in one really long video. It ended up being over an hour and a half long after editing, and I just didn't want to post a video that long. I really didn't think anybody was going to be interested in watching that, so I've split it up into 2 videos. If you miss part 1, which I posted last Friday, you're probably going to want to go back and start there, because this one is going to pick up right in the middle of those questions, and I'm going to be answering on the topic of design teams first. If the footage that you're watching right now looks familiar, that is just because I needed something to have on screen while I introduce this video again, just so it doesn't randomly pick up right in the middle of the video. So bear with me for 1 second, but I just wanted to thank you guys so much if you watched part 1. I know these videos are a bit longer than what I typically post, but I did want to take the time to thoroughly answer everyone's questions, so I hope that the first one was informative and entertaining for you, and that this one will be as well. I so appreciate each member of this community. I value you being here and giving me your time so much, and I just wanted to give back by taking this time to answer your questions. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the second half of the video. Okay, so we're going to move on to the topic of design teams. Is it worth being on design teams, or do the cons outweigh the benefits? Okay, so I think the answer depends on the person. So there are definitely some pros to being part of a design team. You usually get free product. There's an element of exposure because usually they are promoting their artist as well. So there is that. You might gain more followers and just more people to see your work, which is kind of the point, right? If you're sharing on social media, it's because you want people to see what you're doing and, you know, to share in that creative experience with you. So those are definitely some of the pros. You get to be part of a team, and sometimes there is compensation, like monetary compensation. Not always, not a lot of the time, to be honest. Usually it's just free product. There are some companies that actually do pay. Some of them will pay for videos. Some of them pay also for blog posts. I will say in my 14 years of being on different design teams, that's rare. I think I've only been on one design team ever that paid me for blog posts, and that was really nice. But it's definitely not the standard in the industry. There are also affiliate links for certain companies. Like for Lawn Fawn, I am an affiliate, and so I can earn money from sharing their products if you click on the links that I share and make a purchase that way, which I have been getting more of those lately, and I am so grateful because it really does make a huge difference in being able to continue on this channel. I've talked about it before, but being a YouTuber in a niche market, you do not make hardly any money. I've just had to take on a third job, like I said, because YouTube just isn't cutting it, even after 14 years. So if you're getting into YouTube in a niche market like crafting, to be able to quit your job, that is very unlikely to happen. But anyway, cons of being on a design team: the schedule can be strict. Sometimes there are tight turnarounds for certain things. You know, if they didn't get the product from the manufacturer on the typical schedule, but they have already announced a release date, you might have to work very quickly with a product to get it out in time. And if you're somebody that, you know, struggles to get inspired, that could be really tricky. Sometimes you have to work with products that maybe aren't really your style. So I would say if you're looking to get on a design team, definitely try to get on one that your personal style aligns with their style as well. I have been on design teams in the past where I liked some of the product and not all of the product, and it was so hard. That was when I would really experience a lot of burnout because I just was not inspired and could not figure out a way to showcase those products in a way that that just felt natural to me, and so that can be difficult. Okay, let's move on because we have so much more to go. Okay, somebody says, how do you recommend getting on a design team? Hold on, let me grab this refill. Okay, how do you recommend getting on a design team? Well, there are design team calls out there. I think there is a Facebook group dedicated to design team calls. This is one of the old style ink refill bottles, by the way. There are places where you can look. I think I've seen them on Instagram as well, but to be honest, the best way to get on a design team is to use that company's products, take good pictures of your project, and tag them on social media. They want to find new people to promote their product, so they are actively looking. So just do the best that you can. Sometimes they don't have an opening right away, and so they may take notice of you and keep you in mind, but maybe at the time, you know, see what I mean about staining your fingers? At the time, you know, maybe they don't have space on their design team, but the next time they need somebody to fill a spot, they're going to think of you. They're going to remember, oh yeah, this girl has been tagging us for the last couple of months on Instagram or creating videos or doing whatever. And I really, really like her work. And so you just want to be somebody that is utilizing their product in an interesting way and taking good photos of it. That's honestly all there is to it, and tagging them. And I don't think I have ever in my 14 years applied to be on a design team. I have always been reached out to by companies. Sometimes they've asked me to submit a few photos, like way back in the day, but usually I don't have to go through any kind of process like that, because if I'm already using their product, they can see what I can do with it, and they can decide from there if I would be a good fit for their team. Now, just because they don't pick you right away or they don't contact you right away doesn't mean that they don't like what you're doing and appreciate it. It could be that they already have somebody on their team that fits that niche. So that's another thing you can do, is take a look on, you know, at their design team and see if there's like nobody really doing videos, or maybe only one person doing videos, and you think, okay, well, I can do videos. I can be that for them. And so if they're looking for somebody else who can do that, or if they don't have somebody who's doing that, then they might reach out to you. Or say you're posting reels and nobody else on their team is posting reels. That would be something you would be, you know, being a really big asset. So keep things like that in mind as well, because that is a great way to get noticed by a company if you want to be on their design team. Okay, McClemmon says, hi Christy, if you are designing a card just because you want to, not as part of a design team, use this product type of commitment, how do you decide which stamps to use, or for that matter even purchase? I have a room full of products, many of which I haven't used yet. Purchased because I saw a card someone made with it and had to have it, but am immobilized with the thought of just putting something out and creating a card. Blank page syndrome. Okay, I totally get that. I think a lot of people are in your same situation. So here's what I do. So if I post every Monday and Friday, and certain Mondays of the month are Lawn Fawn, and one Friday of the month is Lawn Fawn, and then the rest of the Mondays and Fridays right now, while Hello Bluebird is on hiatus, I can do whatever I want, right? I just need a video. So I do have a lot of these. So how do I decide what to use in that situation? First of all, I take a look at my stash and see what I need. So if I know that I've got some birthdays coming up, but I don't have enough birthday cards, which is always the case for me, I never have enough birthday cards, then we'll be like, okay, there's the theme, birthday. If it's not that, maybe you take a look at what season is coming up or what holiday is coming up, and you know, you pull out things that have to do with that. Just sit down. I sit down on my floor and flip through my stamps and just pull out a whole bunch of things that could be possibilities, right? And then I'll narrow it down from there. So I'll just get a little bit more specific. So do I need a boy birthday card or a girl birthday card? Do I need just general birthday cards that could be gender neutral because I don't know who I'm going to give it to yet, but I just know that I need a bunch. So I'll think about that. I'll think about maybe other new supplies that I might have, or something I've been wanting to get to for a while, like maybe a certain pattern paper, and you know, what would kind of go with that? What are the little images on that pattern paper? And if any, oh, this one's completely dry. If any of those images would kind of fit along with the pattern paper, or if there's a certain die that I've been meaning to use. You know, what kind of lends itself to go together. And I just kind of do a process of elimination and be like, I'm not really feeling this one right now. And okay, I think I can make this one work. And that's really how I do it. That's how I do it. And as far as having a room full of products and being immobilized with the thought of making something, start with the part that you love the most. If that's coloring, stamp out and color some images and just do that for right now. If it's die cutting and you've got some colored images, just do that, or die cut some backgrounds. If it's like you just want to play with some Distress Oxide inks, make a couple backgrounds and, you know, see how they look and what might work with those. Just start with the part that you really enjoy. For me, it's the coloring, so it's always going to start with the images, and then usually pattern paper for a color palette. Even if I'm not using the color palette, the pattern paper in a card, a lot of times I'll pull it out anyway just for the color palette inspiration, or look on Pinterest for color palette inspiration, like I said earlier. As far as, okay, she did also ask how to decide what to buy. So I have talked about this before as well, but I have a rule of 3. I used to be stricter with this, you know, back when my, when I didn't have as many stamps in my craft room, like I didn't have as big of a collection as I do now. I used to be stricter about this. I've kind of gotten a little bit away from it, and then recently I have started doing it again because I really do think it is a good rule to bear in mind. And that is that I have to come up with 3 possible ideas on the fly when I am looking at the product online before I can purchase it. If I can't come up with 3 possible ideas, now I don't mean a fully fleshed out card, I just mean like a general idea. And it's kind of hard to explain. Maybe I should do a whole video on this. Maybe let me know if you think that would be helpful. I'm not really sure how. I guess I could just show you a stamp set and talk about the different ideas that I come up with before I purchase it. Let me know if you think that would be helpful. But anyway, I think that is a good policy to have. And if 3 is too many, try 2. More than 1. Like, anybody can come up with 1 idea, right? When you see a stamp set, it's, you know, it's usually obvious because the stamp set has been well thought out, and you know, obviously the company wants to sell you their product, right? So the design team also really helps with coming up with ideas and stuff, but you need to come up with something else. If, you know, something that you haven't seen done, or your own twist on it. And by you, I mean me. I'm not saying you have to do anything. I'm saying this is my rule for myself. So I like to try to think, okay, I can use this in 3 different ways. I can use these images and add in some other images that I can think of from another stamp set that I think would work really well with this. Or I could change out the sentiments and make this into a birthday set, even though there's no birthday images, by adding in, I'm just going to pour some of this in here because it's so dirty. By adding in some other things that I think would work with it. I love doing that and taking a set that's meant for one thing and using it for something else. So anyway, that's my rule of 3. If I can't think of 3 ideas, I will just put it in my cart and not check out until I can come up with something else. And I will often like go back and look at it and see if I can come up with something new. And if not, a lot of times I just don't buy it. We think we need to have everything, but we really don't. A lot of us already have quite a lot. Anyway, ignore this question if you think it's inappropriate for me to ask. I was curious if you play with any penny black designs. I've just recently rediscovered them and thought it would be fun to see your design style with their image. Okay, I used to use penny black back in the day, and I think their images are adorable. But as far as I know, and I did not look this up again, but for the reason I stopped using penny black was because of their angel policy. So all stamp companies have an angel policy, and if you're not familiar with that, it is just a clearly written set of terms found on their website. That is basically a license. You agree to this by purchasing their images. You are entered into an agreement that is aimed at crafters who want to sell their handmade cards and crafts for charity or personal use, and or profit, I mean. And penny black, their angel policy, at least in the past, was that you are not allowed to sell your cards with their images. You can use them for your own personal use and make cards, send cards, give cards away, but you are not allowed to sell them. Now, I may be wrong about that. That may have changed, but that was their policy. And I like to sell my cards, and it's kind of hard to keep track of who is not allowing you to do that. And so I have just kind of stopped using any companies who just don't allow you to sell your products. And it's not like that huge of a deal, because like I don't make a ton of money from my cards anyway, but I just don't want to have to sort through and be like, oh no, I don't want to break the rules. Number one, I am not a rule breaker. I am an absolute rule follower, and if somebody says that this is the policy, then that's the policy, and you should adhere to it, and I do adhere to it. So anyway, that's my answer for penny black, but I do think their images are absolutely adorable. Okay, we're going to move on to a completely different subject. Hold on, let me see if I have this refill. Okay, we are going to change the subject now and delve briefly into reading. Annika asks, what is your favorite book? That's really hard because I read a lot of books, but I do know the answer to this because it is the book that had the most impact on me as a child growing up. Impact on my life, on my reading habits, on my desire to be a writer myself, and that is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I absolutely love the character of Anne, and she is absolutely a kindred spirit for me, and yeah. What was my favorite book last year? My favorite book last year was for sure The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland. If you haven't heard of that book, it's by an Australian author, and so it's not like really easy to find here in the United States, but I actually did find it at my local used bookstore. I had already had a copy, but I was with my mom, and so I recommended it to her, so she picked it up for herself. And I have bought and given this book as gifts, and I have recommended it to so many people. I absolutely loved this book. I read 203 books last year, and this one was hands down my favorite. They also turned it into a mini series on Amazon Prime. And it's set in Australia. The only American actress in it is Sigourney Weaver. Everyone else is Australian, I'm pretty sure. But I do recommend reading the book before watching the mini-series because they did change some things, but both are absolutely excellent. Next, we're going to go into travel. Annika also says, do you have a favorite place that you've been? Okay, the things that I love most in life, other than family, are reading, writing, travel, and probably coloring with my Copic markers. I love traveling. I love it so, so much. And I love everywhere, honestly. I get so excited to experience new places and new cultures, try new foods, meet new people. Hear new accents and learn new languages. I love travel so, so much. I loved St. Thomas. If you've ever been there, we went there on a cruise with my family to the Caribbean. I'm so lucky that I've gotten the chance to go there. I also absolutely loved London and Paris last year on our way to Germany. Germany is amazing. It's an incredible country, amazing people, amazing food. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite, honestly. Maybe St. Thomas. And then any recommendation on places to visit, all of those. It really depends on the person and what you're looking for from travel. Like, you know, if you want to experience a culture that's different from your own, if you want to experience a climate that's different from your own. I will say that the next trip, aside from the one in February, we're just going to Florida. We go there every year. My dad and stepmom rent a house there and just invite us to come down as we can. And but our big trip this year will be this fall. It is my husband and I's 25th wedding anniversary, and this has been planned basically since the beginning of our marriage, and I have been saving for it forever. But we are going to Hawaii, and I am very, very excited about that. Okay, so let's move on now to craft room organization. Michelle says, are you going to do a craft room tour? By the way, I love your son's comment into our crafty world. We'll get to my son's comment down at the end. Am I going to do a craft room tour? I've already done one. Feels like I just did it not that long ago, but when I went back to look for it, it was October of 2023. But absolutely nothing has changed since then. I am an absolute creature of habit, and once I find a home for something, that's where it lives. And so, you know, nothing has changed about my craft room. So if you want to see what my craft room looks like, check out that video, because that's what it looks like even today. Tina says, Christy, how do you organize your stamps by company, theme, etc.? Thank you so much. I organize them by company, and then I just put them in alphabetical order. For some of the companies that I have a larger amount of stamps, I will separate out the holidays, just because I don't have room, like for Lawn Fawn, for instance, because I'm on their Lawn Fanatics design team, and I'm a monthly contributor to their blog and YouTube channel. I have a lot of Lawn Fawn. I've also been using Lawn Fawn since the very beginning, so for 14 years. So I do have a good collection of Lawn Fawn stamps, and just so that I don't get too confused, because I don't have enough room in my one bin for them, I put the holidays and then the half size and mini stamps in a separate bin. And I also have a video on that, so if you want to take a look at that. I'll have that link down in the description bar. It's also in my craft room tour, but I also did a separate video on that. So definitely check that out. What is your setup for taking pictures of your cards? So that's also in my craft room tour. You can check that out, but I basically have like a wooden tray that sits on an Alex drawer unit, and I pick up the tray and bring it over to my desk here because I film right in front of a big window. And so I just use natural light for my filming and for my photography, and I just put it right here on my desk after I finish the project and take my pictures right there. But if you want to see that, it's in the video. Kim says, do you have a process journal? I have seen your videos, but do you have a journal where you jot ideas as well? I would love a flip through. I do not have a process journal. I am a big journaler. I actually journal every single day, like about my morning. I do a practice called morning pages, which was, I don't know if invented is the right word, but it was a woman named Julia Cameron came up with this concept. It's in her book, The Artist's Way, which I read years ago. And basically you write 3 full pages in a full-size notebook every single morning when you wake up, and it's kind of a way to clear your mind. Let's see. This is mine right now, and it changes all the time. We get about a month and a half's worth out of each notebook, and I write 3 full pages every single morning. So I'm a big journaler. I also have journals where I keep like poetry and free writing and other stuff. But for whatever reason, I have never been able to find a system of any kind of journaling that works for card creation. I tried bullet journaling where I thought I would write down ideas in. I couldn't get it to stick. I've tried other kinds of sketchbooks where you would sketch out ideas. I just couldn't stick with them. So the process that works for me is I lay out all of my images. You've seen this if you've watched any of my Plan a Card With Me videos. And I take a picture. And so that picture is like a record of what I am going to create. And I just keep those pictures in my phone until I make that card. For me, because I'm constantly making content, it's usually that week. I take the pictures on Sunday for my videos that I'm going to film that week. If something happens and I end up changing my mind, then the picture just stays in my camera roll until I have created that card. And I do have a video where I show you a whole bunch of those pictures and then the card that I created. It's called How I Come Up with a Card Concept Behind the Scenes of a Card Design. I will link that down in the description bar as well if you're interested. Okay. Whew, getting there. Okay, I am super worried about how long this video is. I have no idea because I have to keep shutting off my camera before it dies. I've also had to shut it off multiple times to change the battery because my camera is super old and the batteries are garbage, and I always have to change my battery at least 3 times during a video, and I only have 2 batteries, so I have to switch back and forth. For a longer video like this, it's nearly impossible. So I'm going to start answering these a little bit more rapid fire, I hope. But anyway, Lisbeth says, hi, Christy. Love your channel and your coloring is amazing. Could you go over distress oxides versus distress ink blending? What determines what is the best to use for ink blended backgrounds? Okay, so really briefly, distress inks are dye inks. They are more transparent, they dry more quickly. Distress oxides are a pigment hybrid. They dry slower and they have more coverage due to the oxidization, which is what gives it that chalky looking finish. There's actually no chalk in them, but it gives that chalky look because the inks are oxidizing, which is why they're called distress oxides. Oh, good grief. I'm making a mess. I always make a mess. That's why I have to do a video like this on a Friday, because my hands would be stained for the rest of the week. Look at that. I look like I've I don't even want to say it because I don't want to get, you know, dinged on YouTube. But anyway, I don't think that there's a right or a wrong for your ink blending. I think it's just personal preference. I dragged my feet for the longest time on Distress Oxides. I didn't start using them until maybe a year or two after everybody else was starting to use them, because I didn't want to have both inks. I really don't like having to spend a lot of money on supplies. I don't know why. I prefer to spend that money on stamps and dies. I don't like, you know, having to spend a lot of money on inks or cardstocks or tools or whatever. I mean, you have to. It's a necessary evil. It's just part of the whole process because you need those things to create. But I will make do without those things over making do without stamps and dies. That's just the way I am. So I dragged my feet for this longest time about Distress Oxides, but once I started using them, I absolutely love them. I do prefer the oxides to the regular Distress inks, and I have not used my regular Distress inks in quite a while. I got rid of all my full-size pads, so I only have the minis, and I don't have any of the newer colors in the minis that have come out in the last few years. So I don't know. I prefer the oxides now. Once I did start using them, I just really enjoyed them. It really just depends on you and what you're creating. If it makes sense, maybe compare it to the difference between regular watercolors and gouache. The watercolors are more transparent and the gouache is a little bit more opaque. So that's kind of how I think of it. So Lindsay says, first, thank you for mentioning remarkably bright creatures in one of your videos. It was amazing. I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit about how you sell your cards at work, maybe a little bit about your setup and how you decide what to charge. Thank you for always providing the most relaxing, inspirational content. Oh, thank you. Yes, Remarkably Bright Creatures was my favorite book of 2023. If you have not read it, it is so good. And I did do a card based on that book cover. So that's what she's referring to. As far as selling my cards at work, it is so basic. I work in a pottery studio and we have a little area near the register where we are allowed to sell some of our crafts and goods. All of the girls who work at my studio are artists in some way, and we all kind of do other things as well. So like Heather, like I mentioned earlier, Heather sells her children's books by the register. Another coworker, Leanne, she also sells her children's books by the register. So I just have a little basket. I keep 15 cards in it. You know, if I notice that cards have been sold and I'm down to like 10 or 11, I just bring in new cards up to 15. And I sell them for $5 a piece, which I know is kind of ridiculous. It's really cheap. It's not really worth it. You don't get your money back for $5 a card. And I don't even get $5 because my boss keeps $1. So I only get $4 for my cards. So, but yeah, otherwise I just have too many cards and I don't like to just keep them in my house. I do send my cards out to people, but I don't always have a need for, you know, however many Valentine cards, for example, that I just made. I don't need that many. I don't have 14 people to send Valentine cards to. So I'll take a few of them to work and see if I can sell them. And I sell them that cheap because people aren't coming there to buy crafts. It's completely different than if you're doing a craft fair and people are expecting to buy a craft. Usually the way that mine gets sold is, you know, creative people are coming there and so they see them and they appreciate it, or people are coming to buy a gift card and then they see right next to the register, oh, well, there's a birthday card here. I can tuck this gift card inside this birthday card. And so I feel like if I raise the price, then people would just not buy them and they would go to Dollar Tree or wherever. So yeah, that's my reasoning, but it's just super simple. Okay, I can't read this name. Mina. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. What's a product you'd love to buy but is not on the market or not good enough yet, or recent favorite recommendations? And yes, please tell us who your favorite son is. Again, she was referring to a comment that I will get to at the end, which we are nearly there. A product that you would love to buy that is not on the market yet. Honestly, I'm not really sure, but what I do wish that there was a Copic marker refill and cleaning service where you could just take all of your markers, drop them off to be cleaned and refilled, and just pay somebody to do it. Because to be honest, I've been doing this for how long now, and I'm not even a third of the way through my second row of markers. It takes so long, especially if I'm distracted by trying to answer questions. Okay. Recent favorites would be the waffle flower grip mat. I was not expecting to love that thing as much as I do. It has literally changed the way that I craft. Being able to hold my paper down in my MISTI so that I don't have to use magnets has been a game changer, and it really holds it down well so my paper never shifts. I also use it when I need to stencil. That has been a total game changer for me, for sure. That is my favorite product that I bought. Let's see, Future RN, are there any major products that you have found to be not worth their hype? Okay. No, I can't think of anything that I have personally purchased and found to be not worth its hype, but there are products that I have not purchased because I'm just really not that interested in for the way that I craft. So one of those that comes right to mind is a glass mat, which I know is very popular with a lot of people, especially people who love to ink blend, because apparently it makes the ink really glide over them, which would be great if that's something that you do all the time. But being a Copic colorist, a glass mat is not the best. I saw Sandy Allnock make a statement about these and about how Copics need to be on something porous in order to blend. So if you are blending on a glass mat, that ink has nowhere to go once it saturates the paper, but back up into the paper. So it's going to make your coloring much more difficult. So we have made it to the last question, and if you have time to stick around, I have a couple questions for you guys after this one. But anyway, this one is from Elliot. He says, "Hey Mom, hope all is well. I have a question I've been wanting to know for a while. Who is your favorite son?" So Elliot is my middle child. I try not to say my children's names on my channel because I feel like that's their choice. But Elliot has left many comments on my videos, and you can see his name. So I take that as his permission to share it. He is my middle child, and I have 3 sons. They are in the age range of 19 to 23. My oldest is living out in LA, going to school out there, and my youngest 2 live at home. Elliot's in college and works, and my youngest son got a really good job straight out of high school. He wasn't interested in going to college, so he works outside the home, and they live with me, my youngest 2. So Elliot is always wanting to know who my favorite son is, and of course I love all my children equally. They're all my favorites. I love them all very, very dearly. And I will say that Elliot is extremely supportive of me and my YouTube channel. He will often watch my videos or leave them playing in his room. And he often comments on my videos, which you guys may have been seeing. He started doing that like a few months ago. So the other morning, he asked me if I knew what special day the next day was. And I knew what it was, but I didn't think he knew what it was, so I assumed he must have meant something different. So I was like, I don't know. January 28th? And he's like, yeah, what happened on January 28th? And I was like, I don't know. I started my YouTube channel, or I posted my first video on YouTube, and he's like, exactly. It's like, he said, it's your 14-year anniversary tomorrow, and I want to take you out for breakfast. So he took that upon himself to look up when my YouTube anniversary was, and he took me out to breakfast and paid for it. It was really, really special. Sorry, I'm not gonna cry. It just means so much when your kids are supportive of you. Oh my gosh. I did not think I was going to cry. Anyway, I love him very, very much. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, I'm going to move on. I just have a couple of questions for you guys. So, just very quickly, I would like to know what kinds of videos you guys love to see here. Like, what videos that I post currently are your favorites? I would really love to know, because I'm thinking of incorporating some new things this year, or maybe not doing other things that I may have done in the past. And so I just want to get a little bit of feedback on what kind of things that I've already been doing that you enjoy. And then also, along with that, if you have any new video ideas for me, I would love to hear those. So please leave comments down below. I really, really, really would appreciate your feedback. Also, are there any videos that I should repeat or do an update on? I feel like if I've already done it, like, you guys aren't going to be interested in seeing it again. Like, I dragged my feet for the longest time doing an updated craft room tour because there weren't that many changes. There were a few. But I was like, you know, it still looks basically the same. And so that's a video, like, I don't feel like I need to update because it literally looks exactly the same as the previous video. Not the original one, but the one that I finally redid in October 2023. But like other things, like the video where I explained, you know, how I take my pictures of my cards, my card ideas, and then the way that the card turned out. Like, I wouldn't think I would need to repeat a video like that because the information is there if you want to find it. But I don't know, maybe after a couple of years, people are interested again. Or also, like, how I store my stamps and dies. Literally nothing has changed since that video. I still do it the exact same way. Like I said, I'm a creature of habit. And once I find a home for something, that's where it lives. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I should update videos so they're a little bit more current and maybe easier to find because they're more towards the top of the list, or not. I'm really not good at figuring out, like, what is too much repeated information, or something that people would appreciate. So let me know down in the comments if there's any ideas about that. And then my last question is actually about decluttering. I really have been feeling the need to declutter a lot of my stamps and dies. I have a lot of product in my craft room and I don't really have room for anything new. And I do feel like I need to refresh some of my things. There are definitely favorites that I will never get rid of. But I do have quite a lot that I want to start purging. And I just don't know what the best way to do that is. I used to do a video, but I don't even know if that's still allowed on YouTube. And I would just show you everything that I'm destashing, give you a set price for each size of, you know, stamp set or whatever. And then it was a free-for-all in the comments, so it was always crazy. But I don't even know if that's allowed anymore. I know there are like destash groups, but it seems like so much work to have to take pictures of every single product and you know, edit that, boost the light, whatever, and then post it, post the description, post the price. It just seems like so much work. And I really want to declutter a lot of stuff. I know there's people who do like mystery boxes where they'll fill a whole like priority box and then sell it for a certain price. That's a possibility. I just don't know the best way to go around it. So if you have any suggestions for me, please let me know. Because I definitely want to do a big declutter this year, and sooner rather than later. All right, that is going to be it for me today. I barely made a dent in my Copic. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tiers on my Copic marker storage system, and I only made it through 1 1/3 tier, so I got a lot more to do. But that's going to be the end of this video, and thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate you more than you can ever imagine. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.